Hello, scholars, and welcome to week 3 of POL493, Principles of Public Administration. I hope that as we get through the first 2 weeks that we're starting to settle into this class, that you're getting comfortable with your readings, and some of those readings are starting to make sense. Maybe even to the fact that we're starting to reflect on some of our readings and see, especially in a week like we've just experienced with the inauguration of a new president, how we are starting to look at things more through a lens of public administration. So, like we've done in the past, I will go over what we have in store for us in week 3, talk about some topics of interest, as well as I will be opening up not only week 4, but I think I'll open up the remainder of the weeks this week. I just need to clean up some of the dates and some of the due dates on those. So let's get started. This week we're going to be focusing on Chapter 4 and Chapter 8. Chapter 4, Planning, Implementations, and Evaluations, and Chapter 8, Design and Managing Organizations. This is going to build upon the PowerPoint presentations this week. And in our PowerPoint presentation this week, Dr. Ahumada and the audio lectures are going to be talking about the classics of public administration. And when we think of classics of public administration, we typically think of theorists and their theories. And as you've read already, in public admin, we typically are divided between classic public administration and new public administration, or the neo administration. And one of the individuals you're going to hear quite frequently whenever you reference public administration is Max Weber. And he is credited with introducing us to this word bureaucrat or bureaucratic. Dr. Amanda is going to go into detail on the bureaucratic theory that Max Weber introduced. And often, especially this week, and I bring this up in particular because of this week, often we hear of this weird bureaucracy, bureaucrat, and it's normally in some sort of negative context, that we're talking about how slow government is, the red tape, how we're bound by the bureaucracy. But Max Weber had a different impression of this. His definition of bureaucracy is, we got to remember that a bureaucrat is any individual that is not elected but works within the government system. So if we reflect, we realize that there aren't very many individuals in the government system that are actually elected, but there's numerous, thousands upon thousands of individuals that are not elected that we need to or that we utilize to run the government. So all those individuals that are not elected, that do government functions, they're bureaucrats, and they're part of the bureaucracy. And so what I'd like for you to do is listen to that word bureaucracy, especially in the readings this week, in the lecture this week. And more importantly, think of it when we're watching TV, when we're reading, to see if people are using our public administration view of bureaucracy in the same context as what they're trying to, or their opinion on bureaucracy is. And so just one of those key words that we want to highlight this week, especially in our classics of public admin. If we look in our audio lecture files, we have 4 files. Those 4 files, 1, 2, 3, and 4, correspond with the PowerPoints. And once again, if you do your reading and you go through those PowerPoints, you're going to be well equipped to be successful in week 3. We move on to our paper prep and exploration. Once again, these haven't changed. These are going to remain the same. The only difference is that week 5 is not that far off. So remember, by week 5, we need to do an abstract for our research for our pillar paper topic. And I've got a couple emails this week. People are asking me what would make a good topic. And anytime I get a question from a couple students, I honestly believe that it's probably the question of many of our students. So I'll go into a couple minutes and talk about that. And when someone asks me what makes a good pillar paper topic, I believe that pillar paper topics are all around us. Public admin is all around us, and especially in the climate we're at right now, especially the political climate we are, where there's so much change. Do we realize that our government organizations changed face this week? With the new cabinet comes a whole series of new thoughts, practices, policies, all that are going to need to be implemented by public administrators. So the first question I'd ask you is, where do you work? Do you work in the public or the private sector? And if you work in the public sector, I'm telling you that there's pillar topics all around you. The second thing I would ask is, what did you write your pillar paper topic on for discussion board number 1? And so say you wrote on a topic like accountability. I would say that accountability, when I hear accountability, I always think to myself transparency. And there is all sorts of transparency issues in the media today. When it comes to the disclosure of public information, e-government, governments nowadays need to be transparent in order to be accountable. And we see that all the time. If you wrote on efficiency and effectiveness, we can reflect on that. Often the question comes to mind is that, can an organization be both efficient and effective? Or is it one or the other? And while you can probably debate either, I kind of stand on the side where you're either one or the other. And let me give you an example. Before 2008, before the economic crisis, most governments were very effective. They tried to provide as many government services as they possibly could to their citizens. Come 2008, the economic downfall, there isn't the monies available for a lot of government programs, government cuts, and government in turn had to reestablish itself. And it reestablished itself in a much more efficient manner. Efficiency typically came in the form of doing more with less. Doing more in the form that an individual probably not only had to do their job, but maybe someone else's job, and with less. Less funding, less resources, less typically just individuals within the organization. And nowadays we have a model that typically is, how efficient can your government be? How can we do this service for the least amount of money? What are the fewest number of employees that we need to provide the minimal amount of service? And so you can see that the efficiency effectiveness, it kind of is one or the other. And there's a good argument for that, and something that you could maybe read on or research or kind of analyze within your organization. Are we an efficient organization? Are we an effective? Do we strive to be efficient, do things as cheap as possible, or do we try to be as effective as possible and try to provide as many services as possible? So all of these make good topics, and all of these are things that we can look forward to, and I look forward to reading. But just remember, week 5 seemed like a long ways out, but it is getting very close since we're in week 3. But read through these, nothing really changes. We then have quiz 3 this week as well. Quiz 3 covers chapter 4 and 8 of our reading. So once again, if you read through those chapters, you should be well prepared to be successful in the quiz. And finally, we have our discussion board number 2. And our discussion board number 2. And the question for this week is evaluating public sector efficiency and effectiveness. Your discussion thread should be a minimum of 1,000 words and have a response to at least 2 classmates' prose. Grammar, spelling, and thoughtful commentary is expected. And the question is, what public sector agency do you consider to be the most efficient and effective, and why? So when we look at that question, is there an organization that you look at that you find that, man, they are extremely efficient in the way they do things? And then on the other hand, you might think of, is there an organization that's very effective? Or maybe you have that perfect organization that has a good balance of both. And not only how do you recognize that, but that last word right here, why. At our level, we like to look at that word why. It's easy to say the DMV is very efficient, but why is the Department of Motor Vehicles efficient? Why is Riverside Public Utilities very effective in providing services? But I want to hear that why. I need 1,000 words, 1,000 words minimum. And I'm always going to be looking for grammar, spelling, and nice, thoughtful commentary. So we need all that. Now, remember, we're going to look at 2 of these things. So you need to present your discussion. So you're going to write 1,000 words on the question. You're going to post that. And then I need you to reply to at least 2 of your classmates' posts. So in order to get entire credit for this week, 1,000 words for your discussion thread and we're going to reply on 2 of those. If you can cut and paste that into the message board instead of attaching a file, it makes it a lot easier for your classmates to read. If it's just a link, I find that a lot of the classmates don't read those, and if it is just cut and paste, it's a lot easier. So if you can do that for me as well. And remember, everything in this class is based upon a weekly calendar of everything is due by Sunday at midnight. That means your discussion board and your replies have to be due by Sunday at midnight of week 3. So real important to me, the quiz, the discussion board, your replies, everything due by Sunday at midnight. Now for some of you, that means that if you post at 11:40 on Sunday evening, it's going to be very difficult to get your discussion board posted and 2 threads and get everything posted and allow yourself a little bit of wiggle room to get everything in by midnight. So time management, once again, is a critical element, especially here in OPS and online and professional studies, is to manage your time throughout the week. You have 7 days to take a quiz, write 1,000 words, and get 2 replies. So if that's an incredible amount of time unless you wait till the very end. So just time management is so critical for us. So let's just keep that in mind. So I look forward to reading your discussion boards. I look forward to seeing your thoughtful commentary. I think this is a great topic that we can look into. I hope that all of us are looking at our paper prep and exploration and starting thinking of some of your topics. And once again, if you have any issues throughout this week, make sure that you email me if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if there is anything I can help you with. Email me, and I ask you to email me early. When you're in my seat, it seems that I get a lot of questions at Sunday at 11 o'clock at night, and that becomes pretty difficult for me to get that information back to you. So some good time management this week. Really take into account some of the discussions and some of the readings. I think that design and managing organizations is a especially good chapter in Chapter 8. So enjoy your week. Have a nice, safe one. It's been a rainy week, so I hope that all of you are safe in your travels. And I'll be praying for you, and I'm looking forward to all of your work. So enjoy your week. If you need anything from me, please get a hold of me. Thank you, and I look forward to our weeks to come. Goodbye.